There we are. Sorry for the delay, everybody. Technical joys, as usual. I don't think we can do one of these webinars without figuring something out at the last minute. Can somebody let me know in the chat if you can hear me and see me and hear my friend Julie and see her? That would require you saying something, Julie.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining today.
There she is. Yes. Awesome. Very good. Traditional first question for everybody logging on. I think most of you know the drill. Who wins the furthest from Park City, Utah award and the closest to Park City, Utah award? And or where are you coming from, even if you don't think you're going to win either of those awards, because I love to see it. Julie, you're probably not going to, you might be in the running for closest, but there's usually somebody. You're in Colorado, right?
No, actually up in Big Fork, Montana. So I'm
Oh, I was just
very
talking to
close.
somebody else from Colorado. Yes, I knew you're in the mountains. That's all that matters, Julie.
Yes.
You're a mountain girl. Yep. Um, awesome. Well, yeah, you're definitely not going to win either of those awards. Sorry, Julie.
That's
Uh,
okay.
Germany, Argentina, Idaho. Yeah, nice. South is better. All right.
Oh, wow.
Um, Julie, you look beautiful as always. Is Laurel your friend on there, Julie?
Oh, my friend
Uh,
Laurel. Thank you, Laurel, for joining. That's awesome.
nice. Colorado. There. Yeah. And you have anybody from Utah yet? And Spain, Germany, who's going to win the furthest? Julie, traditional first question for you. Your first time on a Stern Method weekly wellness webinar, and as I've said, one my most exciting new thing I've found in a long time that I'm excited to get to. But that being said, you're not allowed to talk about somatids or QELBY balls or patches or sleeping mats. Um, anything, what outside of those things, Julie, have you implemented into your health and wellness, long-lived routine, thriving to old age, disease-free, so on and so forth? Thing that you're anything you've started up lately that you're happy with yourself about, Julie?
Well, I've been involved in health and nutrition my whole life, so I'm constantly trying new things. But recently, I kind of got on the methylene blue kick, and I wanted to try that out for my cognitive and brain energy. And it's a little bit of a topic that is, can be really interesting, or some people are really against it. Um, Obviously, they've done many studies over it, for over the years because they've used it for different things in the medical practice. But that and Shilajit is another product that I've just recently started to take in the past 6 months. So those two products are products that I also have found benefit in at my age. So they're good.
Yep, Shilajit, however you say it, great.
Shilajit.
That's straight from nature and God, right there. Methylene blue, a little more controversial, as you
Yeah,
know. I put it, I put it in the there's a time and a place
right.
category, right?
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
I'm not gonna, you talk to some methylene blue providers, companies, stuff like that. They said, no, you should be taking it like vitamins, and
Yeah.
it's just really good for you. All around. It's like, well, no, it's not natural. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
There is that.
I've
It is a
seen
polarizing topic, but it's one of those that I take myself, but I don't necessarily talk about in public. So people can make up their own mind.
all that said, Julie. Yeah, no, I reached out to you a while back because, as you know, we have our Going Integrative Plus program where we get a different integrative cancer doctor on a call once a week, and people get to ask whatever they want, and it's what I would have given anything for when we were going through everything with my son, just getting the best answers from the best doctors in the world that really know a whole lot about cancer, so on and so forth. And in the beginning of those calls, the traditional first question there is, what's on your mind in cancer? And we had Dr. Dickens on, who runs the really top-notch cancer clinic in Arizona, which, you always think about, if I'm going to go to a cancer clinic somewhere, it's got to be in Mexico or Germany or, Asia somewhere or whatever. But he's actually like, if I had the money and the time and whatever for like a high-end cancer clinic, I would strongly be considering Dr. Dickens' clinic. There's a little plug for him. And you don't have to leave the country. So that's all well and good. But his new, well, he had a couple new things, but one of them was talking about this QELBY ball bath that he was in the process of setting up. And there's not a whole lot of like just completely new things that I hear about from day to day, because we're talking about this stuff all the time. But that was a completely new thing, Julie, as you're aware, because it's
Yes.
new to everyone who hears about it, right? Or at
Yep.
least if you're not in South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he was talking about it in a really. Did you have it? I sent you that call a little while back, Julie. Did you have a chance to watch that
I
yet?
had a chance to listen to some of it, but not all of it. But yeah, I mean, and it's like I said, this technology has been out there, and there's some people, especially over in Europe, that are familiar with it. So, and structured water, especially because that's a topic that's been known for a while. But the Kelby technology is something new for people.
Yeah, and I mean, the stuff that you are going to be talking about today kind of relates to terms that are, concepts that people
Yeah,
already know about, but it's just in a way more awesome way than anything else. That'll make
hopefully.
sense more as you when you see it. But I mean, the stuff he was talking about, he did even a little more esoteric type research of
Yeah.
uh DNA improvements, and they were doing experiments with rabbits and like putting black fur on a white rabbit and white fur on a black rabbit, and then applying the somatids, and then the white rabbit started growing black, and the black, all sorts of crazy stuff, right? So
I haven't been down that rabbit hole.
yeah. So I mean, it sounds like he's gone even further down the rabbit hole than you have, maybe, Julie. He was talking about some wild stuff, but
Yeah.
that's I wouldn't want to start talking about this with all of that, because I think the presentation you have put together is, well, you can wrap your mind around it. It's stuff we all know about, but again, just, and that being said, so I reached out to you that just because this sounds crazy and I want to know more about it. And I guess the other big thing he said that really started perking my interest was negative electrons, because I that's kind of a, when I think of like the root cause of disease, I think of, removal from nature, which means toxicities, deficiencies, and mind, body, spirit stuff. And that's toxicity and deficiency both on the energetic side as well as the physical nutrient side, right? And
Yes.
it's pretty easy to, there's a lot of stuff out there that you can replace negative ions with, biomat, negative ion generators, so on and so forth. Replacing negative electrons outside of just grounding, standing with your bare feet on the earth, not as easy. You go down the grounding mat route, but there's a lot of question marks around that. Don't worry, everybody. I'm going to turn Julie loose on her slides, because I can tell, I can already feel you. Just stop rambling, Ryan. Let Julie talk. Yeah. Long story short, I just said I got to try this stuff out. So we started drinking the water, which we already have water structuring units and so on and so forth. So I wasn't as, I guess, excited or think that I was going to feel something different necessarily from drinking the water, although I can feel a difference in the water versus what we've been doing so far. But yeah, it's the mat. Sleeping on that mat, Julie. I tell you what, as I told you, and as I've stated in the emails, uh, the first few nights, I woke up both my wife and I woke up in the middle of the night, just wired, like, red, like what just it was like maybe it was crazy how much energy we had waking up at like 1 a.m, right? And it's like and we couldn't go back to sleep, and that was crazy. But then after that leveled out, and you said that's never happened to anyone else before, so that's interesting. But then after that leveled out, I mean, literally, I've needed an hour or more less sleep on average a night than I did before, and I know that definitively because when I turned 40, I treated myself to stopping using an alarm clock. But that's also been kind of stressful on its own, because I've still got a lot of stuff I want to get done, and it's like, oh man, now I'm not getting up as early and all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I've been getting up anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, or maybe even 3 hours earlier. Just it kind of depends. It's been going night by night, but I mean, I got up at 4 something this morning and felt great, and it was kind of
Yeah.
later night. So anyway, I mean, that's the biggest for a guy who takes a lot of supplements and does a lot of device stuff already, and tries to get out and watch the sunrise and sunset and gratitude and all the things that we
Yes.
know about.
All the
For,
things.
for something that profound, to like, oh, I one day I needed this much sleep, the next day I need way less sleep, and I feel
Yeah.
great. That's the biggest thing that's happened to me in a long time. So there's all right. Brian stops rambling now. Julie, you are free to tell us about yourself or start sharing your slides or whatever you want to do.
Okay, cool. Well, so yeah, let me share my screen real quick and then we'll get to the presentation. So for
Oh,
me, is
sorry, one more interruption. Please don't take anything you see or hear here as medical advice, diagnosis, treatment. I'm not a doctor. Julie's not a doctor. Just sharing information. And yes, there will be a replay. The link you use to join this call becomes the replay link, and we'll send out replay emails and the special deal we got lined up and all that good stuff. And yes, there will be a Q&A. I already see the questions coming, but don't feel like you have to wait to type your question because you might forget it. So just type it when you think of it, and I will scroll up when the time comes. All right, Julie, go for it.
all right. So a little bit about me. So I've been involved in health and nutrition for many years, just because I always felt it was my responsibility to take care of my health. Um, I had a lot of medical issues at a young age, and so as I got older, I decided that I would rather be involved in my own healing journey. So that being said, I several years ago, about seven years ago, I was involved in the CBD, hemp CBD space, so the non-psychoactive part of the cannabis industry. And I worked for startups and fulfillment. I opened fulfillment centers. I learned the compliance, the sourcing, quality control, product innovation, all of that. So that was all part of me learning, starting to really learn about the benefits of plant medicine and how powerful it is. And being involved in that industry taught me a couple of things very quickly. Number one, plant medicine is powerful when it's done right. And number two, there's a lot of noise and hype and misinformation that exists when science and regulation aren't respected. So that kind of got me on a different trajectory. And so over time, my focus sort of shifted upstream away from just what we put into our body, more toward the environment that our body operates in at the cellular level. And I was introduced to the QELBY technology while I was still doing a consulting job in the CBD industry, and learned about them and ordered some with another company I was consulting for so I could try them out. And I only ordered the QELBY balls for structuring my water, and noticed right away that number one, it felt different in my mouth. It tasted different. It was um, just more refreshing. And I thought, wow, there's something to this technology. So I did a deep dive into the company, which is JD Life Sciences, and they are out of South Korea. And I learned about the structured water and started really learning about cellular hydration and the bioenergetics of all of that, which I didn't realize that the water inside our bodies is structured water. And, I thought, well, that's fascinating. So I started to study that. And then after a month or so of that, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. So Soma Vibe Health was created so I could curate technologies that support the body passively. And so I was looking for products besides the QELBY balls. And, there's a lot of stuff out there, but I had a direct connection with the company and the founder and the patent holder of the technology, and was able to have, conversations, learned how to use ChatGPT to translate Korean to English, because every email I get from them is in Korean. So it's helpful to be able to translate everything. And so that was really quite fascinating. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. Well, that's when I learned about things like what is, hold on one second. I think I am not in the right, it's not forwarding my slide for some reason. Here we go. So we'll talk about a few things. QELBY being one of them, like what is QELBY? What are somatids? What is easy water? And what are quantum textiles? So those are the four topics that I'm going to cover today in more detail, because those four topics are the basis for this QELBY technology. So first off, QELBY, that's an acronym actually, and it stands for Quantum Energy Living Body. And that was so Jong-Do Lee, he is the chairman of JD Life Sciences in South Korea. And he sort of picked up the research from the initial person who discovered somatids, which was Gaston Nassens. And we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But they came from the work of the French scientist Gaston Nassens, and he realized that they were subcellular life forms that appear to respond to energetic and environmental state of the body. And so we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about easy water, which stands for exclusion zone water. And I think a lot of you are probably already familiar with Dr. Gerald Pollack out of the University of Washington here in the United States. So he's the one who really did a lot of the research surrounding what easy water is, and found it was coherent water that supports cellular hydration and energy flow. And then we'll discuss quantum textiles, which are somatid infused fibers. So they figured out how to take this QELBY technology and the somatids and infuse them into fabric in order to make these sleeping pads that Ryan was speaking about in the beginning of the call.
I love
So
it.
let's go ahead.
No, yeah, that's all
Okay.
good stuff. Go for it.
Okay. So the next thing is then let's talk a little bit about QELBY. So quantum energy living bodies. What is that? Well, it's a living system that responds to an energetic environment. So at the practical level, QELBY technology uses specifically engineered ceramics that interact with water, electromagnetic fields, and the body's own electrical systems. And then rather than forcing a change, the technology is designed to support coherence, meaning things communicate and flow more efficiently in the body. So it's not like we're not ingesting a product that forces a change in the body. We're supporting the body by making sure that the environment in the body is at the best level it can be in order to do the things that it needs to do and it already knows how to do. So then rather than forcing a change, it's designed to support coherence, meaning things communicate and flow more efficiently. And so they use that QELBY technology and they put it into different formats. So they created the ceramic balls, which are what we call the QELBY balls, that structure water, and then the sleeping pads for the sleep environment. And then they've also used the QELBY powder for with some other means as well. So they use it in agriculture over in Europe. They found that they can add it to the feed of the animals. There's a lot of different properties of the QELBY powder that they've used in other countries in different applications. And then the next topic then is the somatids. So what are the somatids? They're microscopic biological particles. And so Gaston Nassens, he actually created a specialized microscope and he called it a somatoscope. And he was able to look at these tiny somatids in our blood. And he realized that they existed across all living systems. And he thought potentially that they even existed in minerals. And then his technology was kind of sat on the shelf for a while. And then Chairman Jong-Do Lee later expanded on his research and discovered that by embedding somatid principles into ceramics, he could influence water structure and apply the technology across textiles, agriculture, and other material systems that they use the products for. And that became the basis of the QELBY technology. Whoops, sorry about that. Okay. So the next topic was easy water. So what is easy water? It's a structured, negatively charged form of water that naturally forms next to hydrophilic surfaces, including within the body. So this was pioneered by Gerald Pollack, and he's the one who discovered that easy water was a distinct phase of water. In fact, he called it the fourth phase of water, and he wrote a book about it. And you can find that, I believe, if you go to Amazon and look up Gerald Pollack, you can read that book. But he discovered that that this easy water was able to permeate the cell easier because it was more structured and more coherent. And later on in the presentation, I'll show you some actual slides of somebody's blood that was tested before being exposed to the quantum textiles, and then the difference in the blood cells, the red blood cells, and how they separated and became more coherent while they were being exposed to the textiles. So that's what the QELBY technology encompasses, and that's how it became, it came to be. And then the quantum textiles, that's the other topic that we'll talk about. And that one's a little bit more complicated only because they've taken the textiles or they've taken the QELBY technology and they figured out a way to infuse that into the fibers. So they're functional textiles and they're engineered at the material level. And they're designed to interact with the body's bioelectrical and biophysical systems. They're passive, they're not electrical, they're not, they don't spray it on the fabric. It's actually embedded into the fabric. And so in order to do that, they use a technology called the master batch chip. And what that is think of it like this. So let's say when we're taking a supplement and it needs to get where it needs to get in the body without breaking down. So we encapsulate it to protect it so it can get where it needs to go to do its best work. Well, that's kind of what the master batch chip is in textile manufacturing. So what it is it's a polymer carrier, which is infused with the QELBY powder. And that ensures uniform distribution throughout the fibers. It gives it a scalable, repeatable textile production. And so it gets infused into the yarn and the fiber, and it stays embedded in that. So you can take a sleeping pad, and they have tested it after 100 washings. They have found that it still performs the same as it did after the first time. So that makes it very durable and long lasting, because if it were just sprayed on, probably after you washed it a few times, that would just wash off. So that's the benefit of the way they've manufactured this. So as far as the sleeping pad goes, let's talk a little bit about that. And let's talk first about why the sleeping pad is the foundation for everything else. Why sleep actually is the foundation for everything else. Because we know that when we sleep, our bodies heal. And so they repair. So we tend to think of sleep as passive, but it's biologically the most active repair window that we have. So the body doesn't fully reset during the day because it's too busy creating energy, digesting food, keeping all our organs functioning, dealing with the stress in our lives. And so it doesn't have the ability to just let go of all that and heal during the day. So that's why rest at night and being able to rest properly at night is so important, because that's the time the body is supposed to just let go. And then if your sleep is good in that way, then you can heal. But if your sleep is disrupted, you wake up many times during the night, and let's face it, there's still a lot of things during the night that our bodies are still aware of even while we're sleeping. And so you just want to change the sleep environment, and so you can have the maximum impact compared to your daytime, which is full of activity and just different things. And so there's no way the body can just shut off and go, okay, it's time to it's time to heal now. So that's why the nighttime and the sleep is so important. And most sleep solutions, let's face it, they just focus on acting on the body, not changing the environment that the body is trying to rest in. So whether you're taking supplements, let's say you take nighttime sleep aids, maybe you just take melatonin, you wear some device that tells you how many hours you slept at night, maybe you have to meditate before you go to bed every night because you can't get to sleep. Maybe there's different things that you use in order to help you sleep. So you're trying to override your physiology really in some way, and that can help temporarily. But the thing is that it requires ongoing effort. And the minute you stop with those inputs, typically then you're right back to where you were. So what you want to do is you want to address the sleep environment instead of trying to force something on the system to do something. And so the other thing is, most solutions don't address like what your nervous system is responding to all night long. So even while you sleep, your body's constantly sensing and reacting to your surroundings, whether it's light or sound or temperature, even smells, electromagnetic noise, subtle environmental signals. I know last night, for whatever reason, you know, the computer came on in the middle of the night, that was, over by the space where I sleep. And I was like, what the heck? And it just woke me up out of a dead sleep because the light changed in the room and my body knew that even though I was sound asleep. So you want to just try to get your body into a more relaxed and try not to, you know, be responding to every little thing. And so that's what these the sleep pads do is they help your body get into that coherent. They're passive and non-electrical. They don't. They're biophysically engineered with the way that the textiles were described, with the somatids being infused into the fibers, and they're really designed to support the body's natural, rest at night. Um, and so they don't have any power. There's no heat. There's no need to plug them in. It's not anything that's really being sent into your body. It's a passive surface. And it's just, its role is to not stimulate, but to just change the environment the body is resting in. And and to Ryan's comment earlier about how the first couple of nights he and his wife were like, felt like they were just like wired. And I had told him at the time when he called me and asked me about that, I had not heard that. But I just have since spoken with another customer, and I visited with her a little bit yesterday, and she said the same thing. She said when I first slept on it, she said I was just like wired almost, and she was like, "What is going on?" And so I said, "Well, did it subside?" And she said, "Yeah, like after the second night, then it was fine." She said, "But the very first night, it was like crazy." She was like, "What is going on?" So yes, now I have heard that to be the case with other people, Ryan. So you and your wife weren't the only ones to go through that.
All right. Yeah, that and the extremely vivid,
And the dreaming.
more memorable dreams. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
my husband and I experienced that as well. And I think probably what's causing that is the fact that we're getting into REM sleep more because before, honestly, I couldn't remember my dreams because I don't think I was sleeping well enough to get into REM sleep enough to really even remember my dreams. But now I'm dreaming a lot more and I'm remembering some of them, but I know I'm dreaming and I may not be able to recall everything that happens in the dreams, but the next day I go, wow, I've dreamt a lot last night. And my husband's like, yeah, me too. So they help you get into deeper REM sleep, which is awesome. I mean, that's the point. So because when our nervous system's, downshift, that's when the cellular repair really ramps up and the body can reorganize itself. So the pad is designed to support that natural process rather than overriding it. It's just helps you get into that deep sleep state where you can relax better. People notice changes quickly. Every customer that not every, but the customers I've spoken to either via email or through text or they call me, they have said the same thing that they notice something like immediately, the first night. So it's not something that, it takes you months to sleep on and then you go, oh, wow. So it is something that you will notice the effects of. I can actually just sit on the edge of my bed and I can kind of feel the energy from the pad. It's kind of weird. It's like almost feels like when you have butterflies in your stomach, but it just like you can just sort of feel it, but it's a good feeling. It's just kind of it's hard to describe.
There is a little something there. Yeah,
Yeah, for
I was trying
sure.
to, is this placebo? Am I
Right.
just kind of imagining that I'm feeling something because I know that it's benefiting me, and especially after I experience it with the sleep thing. But yeah, no, if you just lay there and kind of be intentional about just
Yeah.
sensing, it's there's something. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and this is now we'll talk a little bit about the science behind the pad because there's really quite a bit of things that this pad does, which is quite amazing. So it's antibacterial. It has the volatile organic compounds, so that it deodorizes those, It has UV blocking and EMF shielding. So it continuously releases beneficial negative electrons into your body, and high density infrared and microelectricity. So these things are happening while you're laying on the pad. And it removes interference so the body's water can actually organize more easily during your sleep, which creates easy water in our cells. It also helps adjust the pH of the acidic blood and the body fluids toward a mildly more alkaline state. And then it also supports and maintains the cellular electrical stability, which is essential for healthy mitochondrial membrane potential, or MMP, and efficient energy production. And then it also promotes dopamine activation of the central nervous system. And this is probably why that gives you the generation of the alpha brain waves, aiding mental relaxation, insomnia relief, and deep restful sleep. And this is why we're being able to remember our dreams. And then it also neutralizes and shields water vane waves and EMF in your sleeping environment. And so when I first learned about this, I was like, well, what the heck is a water vane wave? I'd never even heard of that. I'm like, what is that? So a water vane wave is actually it's water under the ground, and it can be associated with subtle geophysical and electromagnetic effects. So natural electrical currents, which are electrokinetic effects, low frequency electromagnetic fluctuations, local magnetic field variations, ionic and charge gradients in the soil and rock, especially where quartz and mineral layers in the ground. And so if you're sleeping on top of a water vane that's under your house, a lot of people will discover this at some point, and they report, restless and fragmented sleep, frequent waking, feeling, wired but tired, difficulty fully relaxing. And they say the way you know you're sleeping on top of a water vane is most people don't notice anything while they're awake, but during sleep, the nervous system becomes more sensitive. And so if you just moved your bed maybe somewhere else in your room to see if you sleep better, then that could have been the fact that you were sleeping on top of a water vane and you didn't even realize it. How often does this happen? I have no idea, but I guess it is a thing. And so it's something that this pad helps with.
Yeah, geopathic stress is the term you hear a lot. I remember interviewing a practitioner way back in the day, talking about a boy with testicular cancer, and he's trying to figure out the root cause. And he came to the kid's house and, just doing all the, good environmental medicine stuff. And, and he was, he was either he could douse for energetic hot spots, or he had somebody with him that could, the subtle energy type guys. And they found a kind of energetic hotspot, geopathic stress type thing right under the kid's bed. And they moved the kid's bed, and, the testicular cancer went away. So
that's amazing.
yeah, it's a thing. And I have no idea how common of a thing it is, but
Yeah,
and
me either.
by the way, Julie, like that whole list you just ran through was pretty fantastical when you like stop and think about each different thing. But that's also the thing is, with a lot of energy type stuff, there can be a lot of waving of hands, and it does this and it does that, and you kind of have to trust the explanation. And but some of those things I do trust the explanation because I can feel it and that sort of thing. But that these guys, like, it's pretty remarkable how much published literature they have, and documented experiments and the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a lot of information. And on the last slide, I'll share that you can go to their website. JD Life Sciences just put up their English speaking website a couple of weeks ago. And that's where you can find all their patents, all their studies. They've done presentations, they show images. I mean, there's a lot of information there. If people want to really do a deep dive into what they show and what they've experienced with the technology in their clinic, because they've treated patients for a couple of decades now in South Korea using this technology. So this isn't a new technology. This is just new to us because we understand that in the United States, it's all about pharmaceuticals and treating a symptom and not really healing or finding the root cause of why A, B, or C is happening in my body. And that's what got me interested in this technology is let's get down to the foundational, which is your cellular, which is basically your cells, your mitochondria, how to best support your mitochondria. Because your mitochondria are in all your red blood cells. You have millions of mitochondria in your cells in your brain. And, if your mitochondria get sick, they can go rogue. Your mitochondria can break out where they're supposed to be, and they can hook up with a cancer cell, and become very unhealthy. And mitochondria go through phases. I believe it's a 7-step phase of mitochondrial health. And when you get to about phase 4 or 5, when it starts to break down and then it can go rogue, you don't want that to happen. And so when you're hydrating your cells, that also helps them to be able to detox the waste in your cells. If you're getting that good, easy water into your cells, that structured water where it can enter your cells more easily because it's more coherent, that's what you want. And that's what this technology can do. So it goes down to the very basic level of, your cellular health. And that's what really was exciting to me is being able to say, okay, how can I help myself at the foundational level? Like what's important at the foundation? Well, what's important at the foundation is the type of water you're putting in your body and how well that's supporting your mitochondria. And so as far as how does the sleeping pad work to shield against the water veins, we're going to just go back to that for a second. So it helps buffer or dampen that environmental energetic irregularity. So it's not that it stops it, or it's not that it is a hard stop and just like, it's still going to happen, but it buffers and it mitigates whatever, that was causing in the environment. It mitigates that and it helps you to be able to stabilize, that the interface of your body during sleep. And then the next slide, we're going to show you actual pictures of somebody's red blood cells. So these were shared to me last week. So this is very new. I work with a gentleman out of Belgium who also sells the technology over in Europe, and he has a telescope, or excuse me, not a telescope, a microscope. No, these are not planets. These are red blood cells. So he took an image of red blood cells, and in the first image you can see they're kind of stacked. They call it the rouleau formation, and they kind of look like the blood cells are stacked together, almost like coins. The second image is 20 minutes later after laying on the sleeping pad. And you can see that they've shifted away from that aggregation, and they're more dispersed within a very small window with 20 minutes. And then the third picture at the bottom is actually a full night's sleep on the sleeping pad. You can see how much better the cells have separated themselves, and they're much more coherent. This is one of the things that can actually be observed and I have other pictures of blood cells taken with people who have been exposed to the QELBY technology in textile form. And so this isn't the only time I've seen this. I've seen this in 3 different times under microscopes where they show how the stacked up blood cells actually get more dispersed and more coherent. And so that's one of the things that we can show that really does, support the science. And these are some of the things that the customers report: faster sleep, not as much sleep required, deeper rest, better dream recall, which can be good and maybe not good, depending. Better mornings, feeling more rested, less stiffness. I know my sister sleeps on a pad and she gets that restless leg syndrome where she'll get in bed and her legs are just like restless. And since she started sleeping on the pad, she said that's gone away, which is amazing because that can be very uncomfortable. And so those are just a few of the reported things. I know that some other customers that I've spoken to who have pets that sleep on their bed. One friend of mine has a dog that I believe has 3 legs and has a difficult time. And after sleeping on the pad, she said he just bounces out of bed and runs down the steps in the morning. And it's just amazing the difference in how energetic the pets are. And so cats and dogs alike, I got a picture from another customer yesterday showing her cat laying on the sleeping pad. So, so it is something that animals benefit from as well, not just people. And then, and so who is the pad for? Basically, if you have a high stress nervous system, light or restless sleeper, families with children or pets, elderly people who have a hard time sleeping and just want, so really the pad is for everybody. There's no like, specific group of people it's best for. It's just good for everybody because everybody needs sleep, and in order to heal, you need to be in a restful sleep. So that's kind of the cool thing. And then as far as the size of the pad, so just to know, because I did get a question from a customer this morning that wanted to know if they could get a different size pad. So the pad comes in one size, unfortunately.
It
They
is a
do,
little, it's a slightly odd size, but it works. Yeah.
it is a slightly odd size. So I've you place it on the bed underneath your fitted sheet. So, and it's the size that it shows in this picture. So you're going to want to put it down below where your pillows are at. So your shoulders are on the pads, but your head's on your pillow. So it's not going to make any difference really. And then it's a couple inches shorter than the end of your bed. But I find that a lot of people are side sleepers. And so when you're on your side and you're kind of curled up, your feet are going to be touching the pad anyway. So it's not like a huge deal, but that's just the size of it. And it can fit a queen or a king size bed. And if you have a double or a twin, you could fold it to make the size correct. Unfortunately, they only make one size. So
We got to get them bigger here in the States. So
I know, right?
they make state size pads. But yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, we've got a king size bed. It
Yeah.
works. And then if you have something less than a king, then you just get more to play with. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then as far as taking care of it, you want to wash it in cool water. You can put it in your washing machine. Just use mild soap. Don't put chlorine in it. And then don't put it in your dryer. Just hang it dry. They just don't want it exposed to like super high heat in the dryer. They don't want it to break down the technology. So that's kind of the deal with the pad. They do come in they send me two different colors. I didn't even know they came in two colors. So one's kind of I don't even advertise the colors on the website. It's just whatever I package up that day. But one's kind of a taupey color and the other one's kind of a lighter cream color. So they're pretty close. But so they're not real fancy because you're not going to see them anyway. You're going to be sleeping on top of them and your sheet's going to be over the top of them. So the color doesn't really matter. But and then let's talk a little bit about the QELBY balls. So the QELBY balls, that's your support at the cellular level. And so it helps with cellular communication. It makes it makes the water easier to get into your blood cells. So it also influences the energetic state of your water. So they don't add anything to the water. So they're fired at a very high temperature. They infuse the somatids in with 7 other minerals, as well as ceramics, and then they form the balls and bake them at like 1100 degrees Celsius, I believe. And so they're just designed to influence how water organizes itself. They don't leach minerals or anything into your water. They don't purify your water. They just structure your water. So if you already purify your water, that's great. We're on a well, so we purify ours. We actually run it through an Alexa Pure Gravity filter first, and then we use an RO and add the minerals back in before we put our QELBY balls in our glass pitcher. But that's just, you can use tap water. I would highly recommend you not drink tap water just because there's so many chemicals and different things in it. But even if you just use one of those Alexa Pures or one of those pitchers with the filter, that's better than just drinking it straight out of the tap. It takes about 10 minutes to structure. So once the water is in contact with the QELBY balls, it starts structuring your water right away. So it takes about 10 minutes. So what we do is we put it in our pitcher with a few packets of QELBY balls. One packet is 100 grams of QELBY balls, which will structure up to 24 ounces of water. So if you're using a pitcher, like for instance, our glass pitcher that comes with our RO system, we have 2 pitchers. One's always getting RO water in it. The other one has the QELBY balls that we then dump into there. And we let sit for 10 minutes, but we just keep topping off that pitcher all day as we're drinking the water. You don't have to have the Kelby balls in your drinking glass. You can if you want. You can put them in a stainless steel, or copper is a really good, or glass. I don't recommend using plastic water bottles because I don't recommend using plastic anyway. Um, so put them in a stainless steel water bottle, take them to the gym with you. You can just keep filling it up. Only takes 10 minutes. You don't need, now there was information in the beginning where you had to once you get your Kelby balls, you'll rinse them under the water for a couple minutes because they're kind of dusty once you take them out of the pouch. Then once you put them in, it used to say you should sit them in the sunlight for like a half an hour to activate them. That's not necessary. That's what was told to us last year, but then I've talked to Chairman, I've talked to him several times about that because I'd gotten some conflicting information from somebody else over in Europe, and he said, no, you don't need to activate them in the sun. You can. It's not that it hurts them. It's probably not a bad idea to do that once in a while. So if you just rinse them weekly, make sure they're always clean. If you want to sit them in the sunshine in a glass for a few minutes, that's fine, but you don't need to. So I just wanted you to know that because there may still be some lingering information on my website that says to do that, but it's not necessary. So that's a little bit about the, and the other thing is you can use Kelby ball water, or you can put the Kelby balls in your coffee, in your tea. You can make soups with the Kelby water. Any other food that requires adding water, I always use the Kelby water with. If you steam your veggies, use the Kelby water. So there's that. And then the other thing is the cellular support. So cellular hydration is mitochondrial support, basically. Your mitochondria don't just need nutrients, they need hydration. They need the proper type of hydration. And hydration at the cellular level determines your energy efficiency. So if you're not getting hydrated at the cellular level, you can drink 2 gallons of water a day, but if it's not going into your cells, you're just going to be peeing a lot. So structured, coherent water supports charge separation and flow. And your mitochondria rely on water organization, not just for fuel. They need water organization, or easy water. And then better hydration supports membrane potential and ATP production. And then disrupted hydration increases energetic inefficiency and fatigue. So those are the things on the mitochondrial front that help, that the Kelby technology helps with. So if you're drinking your Kelby water during the day and you're sleeping on your mat at night, you're getting your all day and nighttime recovery. It's good for your pets. Like I said, you can give them structured water. You don't have to put the Kelby balls in their dish. Some dogs like to eat rocks, so you maybe don't want to do that. But yeah, you can just pour structured water. Most animals will prefer structured water if they don't have a fresh like spring running through their yard. If you put 2 bowls of water down, they're going to go for the structured water because they recognize that. They know that that's the best kind. And then another thing that I hadn't talked to Ryan about that I just want to touch on today, because we've talked about support at the cellular level and not really anything topical. However, JD Life Sciences has just introduced their brand new Kelby Hesperidin patch. So Hesperidin is a citrus gel that has been studied for decades, and it's very big over in India. Like they've been using Hesperidin. It comes from ginger, mandarin. It comes from a few different plants. And so what they found is they were using a Kelby gel in their clinic in South Korea, but they would take the Kelby powder and mix it with this gel and make their own, they would apply it to their patients. But what they did is they've actually created a patch now that can be applied topically. And it's a plant-derived somatid extraction. They actually get it from plants that are grown in South Korea specifically for those specific somatids to be able to infuse into this, this matrix of the Kelby technology, the somatids infused in, and so with the Kelby powder. So what it does is it has the the ability to go in and like really heal at the topical level. So they just got their US FDA NDC registration last week. So they sent me the certificate. It was already FDA safety tested. So now it's considered an over-the-counter FDA registered certified patch. So it's got the hesperidin, it's got nirarutin, ginger somatid active ingredient is 6-gingerol complex, and it's in a gel formulation. So when you apply the patch to the body, um, it's I've seen pictures of people with diabetic, wounds and lesions on their legs where they can't get healed up. They've used it for everything from shingles to scarring to somebody just had surgery and they've got a nasty scar. It just heals up the skin really, really well. So I just wanted to mention that quickly, just so people know that those are available. And I am looking for clinics and other people who want to share those patches with their patients, because now that they're FDA certified and tested, that's a lot easier to break into those, into those clinics when you can show that they have the FDC, or excuse me, FDA certification behind them. So
Yeah, so we haven't tried the patches yet, Julie, but it's you can better believe it's high on my
yeah,
list.
yeah. Well, they emit natural heat. They have negative ions, micro currents, and far infrared energy. So that, in effect, helps dilate the sweat gland ducts and the peripheral blood vessels at the applied area. So the toxins and metabolic waste will present in the bloodstream, and they get discharged through the sweat gland ducts and released outside the skin through the gaps in the patch. So like if you had like an oozing wound and that wasn't healing and you applied one of these patches, likely it would pull all those toxins out of your system, and you might have some, that all that waste will come out of your skin under the patch. And so the patches are good for 7 to 10 days, and they recommend 3 cycles of 7 to 10 days for really like things that need a little bit more time. So and they have
yeah, and
information on their website about that as well.
of course my mind goes, I mean, the skin, great. I start thinking about, of course, the things maybe slightly beneath the skin, areas of concern, more inside the body, you know what I mean? Which,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. Sounds like something you'd probably want to at least give a whirl. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's pretty much it as far as my explanations on the technology and the sleeping pad, the QELBY balls, these patches. They do make jewelry. They do make somatid powder that you can paint the rooms in your house with. They do carry some clothing items. I don't carry those on my website just because I haven't had a lot of people ask for them. I did have the jewelry for a while. It's expensive because it's an actual actually, this necklace I have on is a QELBY necklace, and then they have bracelets, but they're very expensive because they actually are they're not just to look pretty. They're actually they do something. And so what I found is when I carried them on my site that I didn't have a lot of sales because I think people just found they were too expensive. So I can get them. However, I don't stock them. And the same with the QELBY clothing. It's kind of hit and miss with the manufacturer because they have different sizes and colors sometimes, and not usually the ones that people are looking for. So I decided not to carry those either. And as far as the paint, I've had a couple customers order the powder for the QELBY powder and the carbon powder that you can mix in your paint for your home because it protects against EMFs. It's VOC. It helps with mold. So there's a lot of that's another thing that I don't have on my website to just sell. It can be special ordered. I try not to order things I don't sell much of just because of the shipping costs, and the tariffs, unfortunately, have become quite expensive. So, so that's
Yeah, I was joking with you, Julie, that you told me about the paint powder
yeah,
thing
yeah,
right after I got done repainting my whole basement.
yeah,
So that was a bummer, but
yeah, yeah. So anyway, but
I
yeah,
gotta
so
have those. I gotta get me some. I wear the see, this is like the one day I don't have some sort of crystal bracelet type thing on. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's I got to get me some of those bracelets, Julie.
Well, I have one set of bracelets left, so I don't have
Okay.
them on my website, but I do have one set left. So anyway, that being said, that's pretty much my end of it. And then obviously we're running a webinar only special. So these are the products and the discounts that'll be offered for the next week.
And I'll post that in the chat. Did you have a slide for that, or oh, I did have it.
Oh, sorry. Yep, I do. There it is.
There it is. Where did that go?
So the patches are kind of a dark
Boom.
brown color. And so they have when they peel, you can kind of see those curvy lines through the patch. So when you peel them, they do have the curvy, you know, and you have to be really careful when you peel the back off. It'll come in two pieces because if it touches together, it will stick because it's got that kind of gel but they remove very easily. They're very easy to peel off the skin. They don't leave any, residue. Um, they're not like trying to pull off, some of those Band-Aids and stuff that peels like your top layer of skin off with them. These don't do that, which is nice.
And sorry, Jill, you may have already addressed this or and I missed it, but showering bad. They just
Showering is fine.
yeah,
We don't want you soaking in a tub. Don't soak in a tub with the patches on, but showering is fine. They are waterproof. Um, you know, 7 to 10 days at the site, and then you can put a fresh one on after that if you don't feel like if it's not completely healed or you didn't get any, or if it feels better when you have one on and you take it off and the pain comes back, put a new one on. So the
yeah.
special I'm running right now is a buy 5 patches, get 5 free. So that's a really good deal. That's like 50% off. Um,
No,
so
these
right
are
now,
all amazing deals, Julia.
yeah,
Really appreciate you bringing the heat for the webinar only special. Yeah, no, it's great, and I'm excited for people to get to experience what I have been experiencing the past several weeks. It's been, like I said, I didn't even really need to dig into all the science too deep to know that this was something. Well, one, I get a lot of these benefits and why they're important anyway, but two, it's
yeah,
I don't come across something that makes that profound of a one day it was like this, the next day it was like that type of difference in my life. And that was enough for me to get to get this
yeah.
scheduled. Yep. Yep.
I know when you reached out to me, you were like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Uh-oh." He's like, "We're not sleeping," and I'm like, "No." It's like my wife is not happy with me, and I'm like, "Oh no." But
Yeah,
yeah,
Teddy for a minute there. I was like, what have you done to us here, Ryan?
yeah,
Because yeah, she was I think she was having like the dreams were on the crazier side too, and then we were both up in the middle of the night and yeah. But yeah, now it's still getting, like I said, still having a whole lot of dreams, way more memorable, way more vivid. And yeah, and then but now we're not waking up wired in the middle of the night anymore. Although like this morning, I woke up. I think this has happened the past couple mornings actually. Is I woke up at like 3:30 and I was like, I feel pretty good, but I'll go back to
yeah,
sleep for a little bit lower. And then I woke up at 4:30 and it's like that's a little better. All right, let's
yeah,
do it. It's like,
yeah. I know.
uh,
Typically, we're waking up at 5 every morning, and it's like, and I feel I used to never get up that early. I would be like, oh my gosh, don't even talk to me at 5 o'clock in the morning. My husband would be like popping up all happy. And I was like, no, I need to sleep more. And now it's like, no big deal. It's like if I sleep until 6, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so late.
yep,
So,
yep.
and as far as, so I just wanted to go over this last slide real quick. So, if you have questions, feel free to reach out at support@somavibehealth.com. Another thing is I have a custom trained chatbot on my website. So I've custom trained it. I got certified in ChatGPT 3 years ago, and so I do use AI with my business. Um, and the custom trained chatbot can answer most all of your questions. And there may be a few that it can't answer, but I've extensively trained it on the technology. Um, And so it will usually be able to answer the question that you have. If not, feel free to email. I do have the JD Life Sciences website on this last screen if you want to go and do the deep dive into their science and their patents and their certifications and all of that. They have a lot of that on their site. They don't really talk about the products on their site because they're not really set up to sell in the US. That's where I come in. So feel free to use the chat bot. Feel free to reach out via email. And I also have a lot of blog posts on my website, and I have a Learn tab at the top of the page that goes into the more scientific parts of the QELBY technology, the somatids, what's, the water, the hydration in the water, the bioelectrical water hydration and those types of things. So you can go to the Learn tab and learn a bunch of that. I also have a YouTube channel. You can get to that through the link at the bottom of my website under the little YouTube icon. So I've created a lot of little under 2-minute explainer videos about many of the topics that you might have questions about. How do you activate your QELBY balls? What do the QELBY balls do? What does the sleeping pad do? So there's two little, there's little 2-minute videos. Sometimes they're less than 2 minutes. And it's just an AI avatar that's doing, I wrote the scripts and it's not my face. It's an avatar that I use. And then it will give you all the information you're looking for. So there's a lot of information out there for you to explore. And if you want to use those to help you understand, that's great. And if you have other questions that can't be answered through those avenues, please feel free to reach out via email.
Yeah, you've done a lot on the information side, Julie, which is good because this is a new thing. So more information is better, and I'm sure that's probably what you were thinking by by putting all this stuff together. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you have generated many questions. Speaking of information, Julie, so we'll try to get through as many of them as we can. Again, reminder: if we don't get to, well, I can almost guarantee we're not going to get to every question. But yeah, everything Julie just said, triple underline. You got the email there. You got the chat bot. Yeah, you can get the JD Life Science site. You can't that it's not like as product specific, but just learning about the somatids and the QELBY technology and just scrolling through the near endless amount of studies and patents and the experiments they've done. And it's pretty wild.
It is.
Kind of
And I'm not a scientist, so I may not. I know that Ryan told me that you're a pretty educated crowd, so I may not have your answer today that you ask, but I can certainly get it for you. So, if there's lots of questions that are more technical or scientific that I don't know off the top of my head, I'll definitely get the answer for you.
I love it. First question, Julie, always needs to be asked. Shipping locations. Do you ship to
I ship in the yeah, I ship it to the United States and Canada. I don't ship overseas only because but there's a gentleman I can hook you up with in Belgium that will ship to European customers because he does the business over there, and he and I have kind of had that agreement where if he gets US customers, he sends them to me, and if I get customers that are outside of the United States and Canada, then I'll send them to him.
Okay, we've been meaning to ask that before.
Yeah.
Make sure and maybe we did, and I wasn't clued in. For international customers, as far as the webinar deal goes, would there be a chance of him honoring that, or do we need to figure that out still?
That's a good question. I hadn't thought that far because I don't know how many international customers you have.
Well, we got Spain, Belgium, Germany, as far as the the
Yeah,
folks I just saw log on to this call. Yeah.
yeah. Um, you know,
Right into info at thesternmethod.com support. Well, yeah, just right into us with, if you want to get the deal, and we'll see what we can figure out on the back end.
yeah,
Let's get to some of the other questions. Yes, that's the Dr. Dickens I had mentioned, dayspringcancerclinic.com in Scottsdale. Where are the QELBY baths in the US in addition to Dr. Dickens in Arizona? I'm pretty sure. I mean, I know he's one of the first ones to, is there any, he's in the process of setting it up right now. Is
Yeah,
there a fully functioning
no,
bath anywhere yet, Julie?
no, no. That's one of the things that they're working on right now. And I remember I spoke to Dr. Dickens. Well, it's been over a year ago now. When he first was interested in setting up the Kelby baths. So I was really excited to learn that he would do that because it's more of a clinic setting. It's something where if you have, because from the ones that I've watched from JD Life Sciences, the gentleman that they use mainly in their information is he was sent home to die with stage 4 cancer and had uh, just unbelievable issues in his body that had broken down after chemotherapy and radiation, and he had infections and all sorts of stuff. And they said, we can't do anything else for you. You know, make yourself comfortable, go home and die, basically. So he checked into the clinic, but it took, I believe, between 90 and 100 days. He did the Kelby bath for 50 minutes every day for like 90 days. But it completely cured him of his cancer, and he now lives in the United States with his wife. But if you could see the pictures, he had necrosis on his mouth, black on his face. I mean, he looked horrible. He looked like the Walking Dead, literally. And now he's just completely healed. But the thing with the baths is it takes time, and because it's detoxing your blood, and so all those toxins are going to come out through your sweat glands into the Kelby tub, and it's something that they're trying to also get a kit that people can purchase and do the baths in their own homes. And so there is a gentleman out of New York City that's working with a Jewish nonprofit called the Rosh Pina Institute, and they are supposedly offering the Kelby bath pack, which includes like between 120 and 150 kilograms of Kelby balls. So it takes a lot of Kelby. You can't just toss a couple of Kelby balls in your bathtub. You have to fill your bathtub up with Kelby balls. So it's not such a small thing. You have to either be set up in a clinic and offer this as a health healing modality. It's not something that you're just gonna, go in and stop in and do it once and go, oh yeah, I feel great. Not to say it's not going to help you, but it's more for sick, really sick people.
Yeah, yeah, and I know, Doctor. Yeah, it's not just not just filling up the tub. It's setting it up
Right.
just the right way. And I guess, like you said, if you got toxicants spilling out of people, then you got to be,
Yeah, it's the cleaning,
handling that in
they
the
have to
appropriate
clean the
way.
tub
Yeah,
and yeah, there's
yeah,
a lot to it.
yeah.
So,
Um, what are the question marks around the grounding mats? I had mentioned that I have reservations around grounding mats. Two main things, and it's you listen to quote unquote EMF electrical experts. I guess the experts would be in quotes. Not that I'm saying that there's not. Anyway, it's just that nobody agrees on anything, right? You can ask 20 different doctors the same kind of basic health question and get 20 different answers. So, but that being said, I hear some people talking about EMF and energy type stuff that really like grounding mats. I also hear a lot of people who know a lot about EMF and energetic type stuff that really don't like grounding mats. And the people that really don't like the grounding mats have pretty compelling arguments against them. The two big ones would be kind of the two most easily repeatable ones would be that so you're plugging that into your ground, right? You're plugging that into your socket, which sounds all well and good. Okay, that's just connected to the earth, and so you're getting the electrons from the earth because it's in your. But the thing is you're also kind of bringing in your whole electrical system, the dirty electricity, so on and so forth. That people. That's why you move your bed away from the wall if you don't have shielded wiring, and so on and so forth. But now instead of sleeping right next to the wall and that being a concern, you're actually just pumping that whole electrical system right into your bed and sleeping on it. That's a big concern. And then also, I've just heard too many people, if you're kind of out in the country and you're not in a high EMF environment, then it's probably okay. But I've heard a lot of really, again, compelling explanations saying that if you are in somewhat of a high, a mid to high EMF environment, that you are now becoming the ground for those EMFs sleeping on grounding sheets. Again, this isn't Ryan saying, I definitively know these things to be true. I'm just a guy who, researches a lot and listens to a lot of different opinions. But that's why I called them question marks. And but again, those question marks come from pretty knowledgeable people, right? That I've heard these things from. So that's why I have always been looking for that electron replacement. I know, and yes, Dirk, I think you called me out on calling them negative electrons. You don't really need the word negative because all electrons are negatively charged. Yes, you got me there. Negative, there are negative ions and positive ions. So I think I just say negative electrons, negative ions, so on and so forth. But there was another question in the chat about, what exactly you're talking about with deficiencies and negative. What's the difference between ions and electrons? And why are we deficient, so on and so forth. Real short there. We've done like we did a webinar on the biomat, right? And biomat releases negative ions. Negative ions, you're kind of getting more from the air in the environment, right? Like if you go out in the forest and just hang out in the forest, you're getting it. That's a really high negative ion environment. Next to a waterfall is the highest negative ion environment. Just being out in the countryside is a pretty high negative environment. And like the further and further away from that waterfall in the middle of the woods, you get into neighborhoods and then office buildings and then industrial centers. It just goes from like, I forget what it is, like 10 to 20,000 negative ions per cubic centimeter down to pretty much zero in so that's, you get negative ions from the air, and electrons / negative electrons. Those are what you get from grounding from your bare feet on the ground, that we all hear is so important. But Julie, as I'm sure you know, even if you're in a more densely populated area with a bunch of power lines and so on and so forth, they've kind of even ruined grounding for those areas. The ground can be charged in kind of a weird way if you got too much going on with the ground. So yeah. Anyway, there you go. So we're made to be just charged by the air and by the ground all the time, and we have lost both of when we think about deficiencies, we usually think about vitamins and minerals and stuff like that, but electronutrients I would categorize as, you can put a bunch of stuff in that category, but really ions, negative ions, electrons, light, infrared, which again, we got some infrared going on with the QELBY pad as well. So yeah, that's a big deal. Can a sleeping mat be used with the biomat for sleep? I asked you this question, Julie, and you said don't put it in the dryer and do that, but just the heat of the biomat under the QELBY pad would be okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how hot those biomats are, so I don't know how. Like, if it's no hotter than like a heating pad, you'd probably be fine. You just don't want any real super high temperatures and have it be, um, up against that for like hours and hours and hours, like constantly. If it's for at night and it's not super hot, then you'd probably be fine with it. And the grounding pad versus the Somatid sleeping pad, they don't negate each other. It's not like one blocks out the other. So you can actually sleep on both. Because I did do some research into that, because I had another customer ask me that same question. They said, well, I sleep on a grounding pad. Could I also sleep on the sleeping mat?
And come to think of it, I wouldn't be surprised if those question marks I just raised, if the pad actually helps with that. It seems probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say just try it out and see if you notice a difference. I know this one customer that I have, she stopped using her grounding pad and she just uses the Somatid sleeping pad now. So
yeah, I don't really see the need for both, but
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
yeah. Huh. I thought Antoine Béchamp discovered microzymases which is what Gaston Naessens, however you say his last name, based his work on.
Yes, there were a few guys involved in that, and the somatids were called different things. Sanols was another one. If you want to do really deep dive into that, you can.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
clearly the very abbreviated version of the history of
yeah.
the tech of the discovery slash technology there. Yeah, yeah. Um, will the sleeping mat help with insomnia? Well, after you stop waking up in the middle of the night, like I did. But again, it just helps with sleep quality overall. But have you had folks that had insomnia previously, Julie?
Oh, I think I think a lot of people have insomnia. But yeah, it's one of those things. If you can get that your body to relax and have your environment um, supporting that, I think your insomnia will resolve. Um, I don't have insomnia. I haven't talked to specific people with insomnia, so it's one of those things. You'll just have to try it. I don't know for sure. I don't know why it wouldn't help. Let's put it that way.
Is it effective to use the sleeping pad while on an office chair during the day or only while sleeping when the body is repairing? Does it help to activate the pad with sun or rest? We already talked about that. It might
Yeah,
not.
you don't have to activate it with the sun. But also I've talked to people who have elderly parents who maybe sit in a wheelchair or sit in a chair all day because they're not mobile. So that pad would be beneficial to sit on for people who are not too mobile and have uh, because my dad is 91, he has dementia. He sits in a chair most all day. He sleeps sitting on the pad because he sleeps a lot during the day anyway. So yes, it would definitely be beneficial to have in a chair if you're going to be sitting for hours. I don't ever recommend sitting for hours, but if you have to, yes.
Uh, big question. Well, not that big of a question. How is easy water different from filtered hydrogen water?
I
Um,
get that question a lot, actually. So hydrogen water uh, lasts a very short period of time. If you're using an ionizer and you're getting your hydrogen water out of a $4,000 machine, once you pour it in the glass, you have to drink it fairly quickly before it breaks down. With the QELBY technology, once the water is structured, you can let it sit in a glass for a couple of days and it's still structured. Uh, and so I do have a lot of people ask me about that. The other thing is QELBY balls are very inexpensive. They don't wear out. You don't have to replace them. They don't cost $4,000. You don't need to plug them into an outlet. And so I do get a lot of questions because I know a lot of people do drink the hydrogen water, but the QELBY balls are definitely way less expensive and they stay structured. I know with the
well,
hydrogen, you're kind of on a time frame there. You've got to ingest
yeah,
it
yeah.
fairly
It's
quickly.
hydrogen's got a short time a shorter half life. We've done webinars on Brown's gas before, which is kind of hydrogen and more, it's extra hydrogen and oxygen and extra electron charge in there, so on and so forth. But it's kind of it's somewhat different. Been like hydrogen is you're getting more hydrogen in the water, right?
Right.
And this is more with the how do you say it? The energetic structure of the water in general, the electron charge, which again kind of bleeds into more, you're getting a little extra electron activity with Brown's gas as well. Dirk, didn't George Wiseman talk about the fourth phase of water on the Browns? So yeah, we do the pitcher thing like Julie does with the QELBY balls, and then we'll take that structured water and then bubble it through our Brown's gas machine, and then drink the QELBY Somatid Brown's gas water. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's slightly different, but as far as if you're looking for the least expensive way to charge up your water and have it be a whole lot better than it was before, yeah, it's definitely the balls are that would be the place to start. Yeah.
Well, and you can travel with them, so you don't have to bring a $4,000 hydrogen machine with you. You can just, your Kelby balls can be in your water bottle and you can always have it with you. So,
Yeah. Um, going back to you mentioned overriding the physiology with sleeping aids of various kinds.
Mhm.
Grounding pads. The question was grounding pads aren't overriding the physiology, are they?
That's a good question because I don't use a grounding pad, so I don't have a lot of information on that.
Yeah. Which again, I mean, I think we probably beat the grounding pad thing to death already. What are the pads made out of? You spoke about the yarn and the polymer and so on and so forth. I mean, I think I saw a lot of questions about this as we went, Julie, but I think the big one is people are, it's an audience after my own
Yeah,
non-toxic heart. Um,
yeah. So because they are uh, the technology is infused into the fiber. It's not cotton or hemp or bamboo. It's some sort of like a polyester type. It doesn't actually say on, it might say in their patent, but it doesn't actually give the description of what the exact fiber is that they are using. But I can find that out, and I think I did find it in one of the reports, and I believe it's some sort of polyester or something that they use that works well with the infusion of the somatids. But
well, I saw the
I
word
can find that out.
polymer. Yeah, I saw the word polymer. Polymer can be, on the natural end or more synthetic end. But I mean, I guess either way, yeah, it's for me. I'm the biggest stickler about these things in the world. And everybody who's been coming to these webinars knows this. I demand
Yeah,
certificates of analysis from everybody, that we do supplement webinars with, and so on and so forth. And just like you,
right,
I wouldn't, you'd never catch me drinking out of a plastic water bottle or anything like that.
right.
Um, with this, it's, it's such a massive difference, and it's you're putting it under your fitted sheet.
Yeah, it's not against your skin. And I don't find that I'm like sweating, because of the pad. I know someone in one of the questions had mentioned something about, well, sweating, because you'd be up against the polyester. You're not even touching the pad. You're on top of your sheet. So, I can find out what they're made out of. But for me, I haven't noticed anything as far as a negative, um, you know, with whatever they're made out of. Because I try to stick with cotton and hemp and the more natural, you know, cashmere and wool, those types of things. So
Yep, yep. And there's somehow the VOC protection benefit as well to the pad, which
right.
I still don't fully understand, but
Yeah. I know. I know. Trust me, there's a lot to that. And like I said, because the JD Life Sciences website was just put up a couple of weeks ago, you can do more of a deep dive into their website for all this scientific stuff because they have done an inordinate amount of studies and clinical work and different things, university studies, and I mean, they have a ton of stuff. So.
yep.
And patches
Um,
can be cut. That is one thing I know people ask me because the patches can be cut into smaller pieces if you need to. Um, so you don't have to. I know they're. I think they're a fairly decent size, but that I've cut them in half or cut them in quarters. If you just have like a little scratch or cut or boo boo or something, and you don't want to use one of the big pads, you can cut it to size. So yes, you can do that.
there were similar questions about the sleeping pad as the sleeping mat as well. Like if you have a twin bed, can you
You
cut the
you
big
can
one in
cut
half?
them, and in fact, some people, if you buy one and you have a twin and you have some left over and you have pets, you can cut them to put in in your dog bed or your cat bed, whatever. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can. Unfortunately, and I've actually talked to JD Life Sciences about making pet-sized pads, and they said they'd think about it. So I told them that would probably be, or at least smaller ones, even for kids' beds. So we'll see if they decide to, get into the manufacturing of smaller sizes. But right now, they just offer the one size.
Yeah, no, it's like all of this we do for our kids, right? And now that I've tried it on myself, I shall be getting We got 3 kids. So I don't know how that's gonna. I guess I need to get 2 more and then cut. Yeah, cut those in half for each of the 3 kids, and then maybe we'll have another half left over for the dog. There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's the family plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Ba, 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 ba. Speaking of the dog, has anyone reported changes in pets sleep that who sleep on the bed?
Yeah, actually, Laurel's on the call, and she said her pets sleep on their bed, and they have so much more energy the next day, and she said they love it. So I have heard, and then like I said, I have my other my other lady has cats, and she showed me a picture last night. She texted me a picture of her cat sleeping on the pad. It's like, okay.
Where is the data to support your claims? Some of these were asked earlier too. So again, I mean, you can go to that JD Life Sciences Inc. site and just have a field day with all the published literature they've got up there, and just try it. You'll see what we're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know it is one of those things you notice it right away. So it's not like, you order it and you go, well, I've been sleeping on it for 6 months and I haven't noticed anything. Well, that's probably not going to happen on this thing.
Yep. Um, would this technology be contraindicated for those on blood thinners?
Um, you know, I'm not 100% sure on that one. Let me find out about that.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it should be fine. Um, given, yeah, I mean, when you're structuring, more structured water slash blood inside
Yeah,
of yourself helps things flow through your veins better. It doesn't
right.
necessarily like thin
It's
it
not you,
anymore than
right.
it's already being thinned by the blood thinners.
It's just making it more coherent, I guess. But
Yeah.
let me check on that because that's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't had that one come up before, so I haven't actually looked into that.
Yep.
And that was specifically to sleep on the sleeping pad, for sleeping on the sleeping pad.
Well, I think is this the question was just, is this
Oh,
contraindicated for
okay.
it? I don't know.
So the technology in general.
That might
Okay.
have been when you were talking about the pad. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, any anecdotal experience of the pad impacting Parkinson's one way or the other? Sounds like it could be effective when you mentioned the restless leg stuff.
I haven't had anybody with Parkinson's report. Like, I don't mean I've sold a lot of pads, so maybe somebody had it, but I didn't hear anything. So I don't know about that.
Yeah. Um, how many we addressed that, but it's probably good to restate how many Kelby balls are needed to affect a specific volume of water. So one packet was 24 ounces. Was that
Yeah,
right,
one
Julie?
packet was 24. So I have a water guide on the website. If you go to the website on the homepage at the top, it says water guide. If you click on that, it gives you a chart, how many packets for how many ounces or liters. So that's all on the website. I have a lot of information on the website.
And you said that the pad has stayed effective for 100 washes. Um, question on I don't know if I forget if you addressed this or not, but how long do the balls last? Do you need to get new ones after a while?
No, they last indefinitely. Just rinse them every week. Make sure you're washing your water glass like you normally would, and rinse your Kelby balls under just tap water for, a couple minutes, and they never wear out. You don't have to buy them more than once. And, unless you didn't buy enough and you just want more. But yeah, they're not going to wear out.
Yep. Yep. No, I was talking to a different kind of in the same ballpark technology, but well, yeah, not in the same, but it's EMF stuff really. And but yeah, the guy was saying you gotta rebuy his product every few years. I'm like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound too great.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's the other nice thing about this. There's no subscriptions, you don't have to keep buying it every month. It's just once you've figure out how many packets of QELBY balls you really want. Most people, in the beginning, I would sell like one packet. And then I started noticing that repeat customers would come back and go, oh, I need more. And then they would buy more. But it's not because they wore out. It's just because they realized that they wanted to structure more water than they were structuring at the first time.
Yep. Although, yeah, we got to get you big enough, Julie, to where you start carrying that all the jewelry and everything. Because that, like I said, I gotta get me some of those bracelets, and
Well,
that
I can
looks
carry
like a
the
nice
jewelry.
necklace
If I
there.
know I'm going to sell them, I'll order them. It's just that, they sat on my website for, 3 or 4 months and I sold like two and I was like, okay, this isn't something I want to spend a lot of money on and then not sell. So I'm trying to focus on the products that do sell.
Um, does it need to be mineralized? What's the best product to use to remineralize distilled? Yeah, we could go on and on about the difference.
Pinch of sea salt works really well. Get some microplastic free sea salt. I use Baja Gold. I use another brand from Iceland called Saltworks. Uh, just put a pinch of sea salt in your water. That'll put your minerals back in there. Um, you
Yeah,
know,
there's a lot of good, a lot of good trace mineral products out there too.
there's a ton of them. There's
Yeah,
liquid trace minerals. I have liquid trace minerals, but I also get on my RO machine, I also have the remineralization and VOC filters. So it puts the minerals back in. So once
yeah.
the RO pulls them out, it puts them back in. But I also am a big believer in good salt for the body because our bodies need salt. So
Yep. Yeah. If you wanna see we just rotate through a few different trace mineral products. Those are all on the sternmethod.com, in the what we use supplements Nutrify category. Um,
the other thing about the bracelets I found, and the reason I stopped carrying them, is they're really big, and for most women they're too big. So I have one gal that bought the necklace, and she just wraps it around her wrist and still wears it on her wrist, and so it's more like because the bracelets are big. They're great for guys, but for women, I don't know why they made them so big. I have very small wrists, and so they'll just come right off. My. So that's the other reason I didn't, because they only have one size. So it was like, well, so that's why I wear the necklace, but I don't wear the bracelets because they just come right off. But you can wear them as anklets too. So they work perfect if you want to wear them around your ankles.
has the treated water been analyzed using the spectral analysis for 270 nanometers that Dr. Pollock says shows easy water? I know scrolling through that JD Life Sciences site, I see a lot of
Yeah, they
spectral
have a lot of
analysis
info.
type stuff. I
They
don't
do.
remember seeing 270 nanometers specifically, but yeah, it was kind of
Yeah,
all
they
the
have a
stuff
lot
you
of
would,
information
yeah.
on that. But like it's back to, we can science this to death, but it's one of those things where I mean we know it works because you can
You'll
feel
see.
it in your body.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but the science
Which,
is out there.
I talk about some things that it's just like, yeah, there's not mountains of research, but just try it and you'll feel it. But it's also nice that, yes, just try it and you'll feel it. And
Yeah.
we've done a ton of research. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. Um, yeah, lots of different questions about, can I put this in the clean section of a Berkey filter? Again, it just comes back to that per one pack per 24 ounces thing. So just,
Yeah, they actually make water. They actually make, but I don't carry them because you can go online and buy those gravity water filters that have all the layers of the different things. And you can make the last layer Kelby balls. You can do that and have your on the counter gravity feed, or even if it has the filters, and you can put the Kelby balls. They actually sell those in South Korea, and they can ship them over with the Kelby balls already in them. But I don't do that because they're too expensive because I pay tariffs and shipping, and they're big and bulky. Where someone can just already have their gravity filter, just buy enough Kelby balls to put in your filter, and you'll be good to go.
yeah, I pour my distilled water through a crystal to structure it before consumption. Would I use the balls instead of the crystal? Yeah, I mean, I've got, I like before this came along, I was really big on the Aqua Energizer, which is a nice copper / crystal vortexer thing.
Yeah.
I honestly, I still pour it through the Aqua Energizer just because, why not? Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so I mean, whatever you're doing, it's more coherence in your life is not going to be a bad thing, right?
right.
Yeah, yeah. Um, any Have any of your customers told you anything about spider veins when they use the patches, Julie? But I assume the patches are pretty darn new, so I don't know if
I don't know about the spider veins. Yeah, the patches are pretty new. They've been using the Hesperidin gel in their clinic for years, but the patches are brand new. And since they're just new to the US, I don't have a lot of customer feedback on them yet.
Yep. Yeah. So a lot of these, somebody else asking about arthritis, neuropathy.
Yeah, I mean
Uh,
they have tried some tests over in Korea with the patches because they got a test batch done a couple months ago, and so they have been using them in their clinic. But that information is they've got that information over there, and it's basically. And also, I share testimonials with my contact in Belgium because he has people using the patches and who were using the gel originally, and I've switched over to the patches now. Um, so yeah, that's just one of those things where we're going to need more time to get more testimonials on customer feedback on the patches. And part of it was they were waiting for the FDA, certification. They had the safety testing already in place when I started carrying the patches, but they just received the certification. So they sent that to me last week.
oh, and sorry, I should have addressed this when we first posted the deal, but now I forgot the question. Oh yeah, no code needed. Yeah, just that link is a special page, so you don't need to no additional code outside of just going to that link. Yeah.
Okay.
Um
Yeah, that's not a public page, so only the webinar attendees see that page.
um yeah, that's a lot of questions that got asked many different ways, but this sounds like kind of insomnia again. I have a hard time falling asleep early, only sleep well and feel refreshed if I go to sleep late night, like 1 or 2 a.m., and haven't been able to change that. Could this help? Give it a whirl.
Certainly
Give it
couldn't
a
hurt.
whirl. uh, so about using on a twin size mattress, it's best to fold it over or tuck it around and under.
Yeah,
Or yeah,
either or, whatever
yeah. I mean,
works.
with the size of that, and then if you're going all the way down to a twin, you can probably just get an extra layer out of it, really, right, Julie?
Yeah, I would just fold it in half, honestly.
Yeah.
The ones that I sell are the double layer. They have a single layer, but I always get the double layer. So it's already what they consider a double layer mat, but then just fold it in half. So yeah,
Now you've got yourself a quadruple.
yeah.
Yep. Um, I am EMF sensitive. How many other products do I need to purchase to deal with this? I have a sleep number bed that has strong mattress magnets that came with a warning of emitting radiation. Um,
Well, the
huh.
pad would definitely help with that. Yeah.
I didn't realize sleep number beds came with magnets and warnings about radiation. That's interesting.
Wow. I
Um,
didn't either.
yeah, I might not have that if you're
Yeah.
EMF sensitive, especially. But
But but the pad will definitely help mitigate that. So yes. I would highly
yep.
recommend if you're sleeping on a bed that has a warning label, you might want to sleep on a pad.
Um, eczema. Do we have any anecdotal patch information at all, Julie? On
From JD Life Sciences, yes, they've treated all sorts of skin issues with the pad
yeah,
with this Hesperidin gel. So yes,
yeah,
that will
yep.
definitely help.
If you sleep on your side, is it best to put the mat over you or around you, or do you have to lay on your back with the mat under?
No, you can sleep however you want. You can sleep on your stomach, your side, your back. You can stand on your head. It doesn't matter. You can put it over you, but it's intended to sleep on. So put it under your fitted sheet and sleep whatever position you like best.
Will you send the link for the deals with the replay? I don't have Wi-Fi and dropped a couple times. Yeah, yeah. So I'll post the link again just to be sure many times. But yes, we'll you'll get the good old replay email tomorrow and the link and so on and so forth. Um, there are a lot of questions. I'm trying to get I'm trying to get to ones that we haven't asked already in different ways. Um,
I would say if you're interested in the jewelry, send me an email at the support and I can place a special order and get some jewelry. And like I said, I have one set of bracelets left. I don't have any necklaces left. So, but the bracelets are big, just so you know. And I don't do returns. So if you order them, they're too big, just know that going into it. Um,
do you
so
know, Julie, what size they are in terms of like yeah, how long? Like because you can kind of compare it to when because sometimes if you're ordering like a nice crystal bracelet on Etsy,
right. So the bracelets come two in a pack. So you'll get two bracelets. Let me see if I can measure these real quick and see what the circumference is.
I think they're like the typical ones are like either 7 inches or 7.5 inches or 8 inches.
Yeah,
But
these
that's like the
are,
total length of them, right? So I don't know if you
yeah,
can.
these are probably more like 9 inches. Yeah, they're pretty big. Like I said, they just fall right off my wrists. Um, they work fine on your ankles, but they're if you can see how much they are
Oh
hanging
yeah,
off my wrist,
that's pretty
that's why
big.
I stopped carrying them. So it's like, you know, I don't know how unless you want to, yeah. So that's that was a little problematic for me. So I just figured I didn't want to mess with it.
Get working on that, JD. Life sciences. Well, maybe I need the necklace instead of the bracelets. Those do look pretty big even for a man. Um, could you wear the bracelet as an anklet instead? Yeah, you just said
Yes,
that
you
before.
can. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can.
yeah.
Yeah, you definitely can.
How often would you have to wash the pad since it is under a fitted sheet? I don't really see myself washing it that often, if
Not that
ever.
often,
Yeah.
once every couple months, honestly. It's not like you're not sleeping directly on it. So yeah, I figure if you washed them like 4 times a year, maybe 6 times a year, maybe every other month, something like that, you'd probably be fine.
Does the QELBY ceramic coffee or tea mug structure the water?
No,
Do you,
I have some merchandise on if you're just on my regular website,
oh,
I
okay.
have merch on my website. I have a coffee cup that just has it has the Somatid logo on it, and I have t-shirts, but no, they don't structure your water.
You should totally make or
I
they
know.
should totally make a Somatid mug.
Cup.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, does the bracelet protect? Does the jewelry help with EMF protection? I mean, if you're getting infused with electrons throughout the day,
Yeah.
that is going to significantly help with EMF stuff. Yeah.
The jewelry is very similar to the Kelvy balls. So how the Kelvy balls are structuring your water with the infrared, and you've got the release of the negative electrons. The jewelry does pretty much the same thing. Um, and then they also have scarves. They have the Somatid scarves, which I did carry for a while this winter, but those weren't big sellers either. So, and they're just kind of like a nylon material, but they're infused with the Somatids just like the sleeping pad, and you can just wear them around your neck. There's a small size and a large size. The large size is more of a shawl size where you can put it around your shoulders, and the other one's just something you can wrap around your neck a couple times. But they do keep your neck warm. They do help with tightness if you carry your stress in your shoulders and your neck like a lot of people do. It's nice just to put those around your neck. So I can get those, and I do have a few of those on my website right now.
Yeah, Barb brings up an interesting question. What are the necklaces strung on? Is it something we could make smaller easily ourselves since they're big? Yeah, I guess that would go to the bracelets too. I mean, you could,
Yeah, you could
if you
pull some
could,
of the balls off. They're made out of the stretchy stuff. They're just strung on the some sort of stretchy. Uh,
yeah,
I've never taken it apart, but I was actually thinking about doing that with the last two bracelets I had, was just clipping it and taking a few of the balls off and retying it. So I mean,
yeah, there you go. I mean,
you could
I
do
was at
that.
I was at an energy conference a while back, and there was like 50 people there selling crystal bracelets, right? And
Yeah,
I made some comment about how my stretchy thing's getting, I can see it starting to fray, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
I'll just restring it for you right now." So,
yeah.
yeah, if you can either do it yourself or find somebody that can,
Oh yeah, you could
yep,
totally do it yourself. All you would have to do is cut it, take a few balls off, and retie it.
there you
But yeah,
go. There's the answer.
yeah.
Um, my over the counter, my yeah, counter zero water filter is made of BPA free plastic. Can I put the Kelby balls in that water filter? Yeah, nothing. It will only help your water. I'm still, I don't really get down with BPA free plastic for keeping my water in, but
Yeah. The
yeah.
best is glass, stainless steel, copper. So those are the best vessels as far as health. Um, you know, I just don't ever recommend plastic, but I know some people are going to use it whether you recommend it or not, and that's totally up to them. It's not that it won't work. It's just that I don't recommend it.
I was wondering about this as well. Not sure if there's any definitive answer. Would the patches help with interior scar tissue from,
Yeah.
let's just say surgery?
Yeah, there's actually an image on the JD Life Sciences website that shows a scar from an old surgery, and after the patch was applied, it shows the difference, and there's a noticeable difference. So I'm assuming you're talking about like lesions on the inside of your body from past surgeries. It certainly wouldn't hurt to try it on that. But yeah, I know that the one picture that they have on their website shows scarring, like old scarring, and then the same scar after applying it. So I would recommend going to their website and checking out. They have a lot of images on their site about different things. So
Yep. Where can we see the jewelry? Do they have it? I know I've seen it somewhere. Do they have it on the,
I took it down from my site. The pages are still built. I just have them hidden right now. I mean, I can put them
I
back up.
think I saw them somewhere on the JD Life Sciences
They
site.
probably have it on, yeah, they probably have them on their website as well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, lots of discussion on restringing the bracelets and so forth. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure you can go on Etsy and buy the jewelry, jewelry stringing, whatever they
get
call
your
it.
own little
Yeah,
stringing kit. Yeah.
sure.
Um, to use with coffee or tea, would you put the balls in your stainless steel pot with filtered water and let it sit for 10 minutes and then take the balls out and boil the water? So,
What you don't necessarily want, like I'm kind of a coffee snob, so I know that coffee's not good if you boil the water. You shouldn't bring it to a boil to make coffee. I usually do mine at about 185 degrees or 190 degrees. Um, so what I do is I have the Kelby water in my hot pot that I heat up my water because I do a pour over coffee. And so you can do that. You can have your Kelby balls. You can either just pour your structured water into your hot pot or your coffee maker. And as long as and I don't believe coffee makers boil the water either. Um, so yeah, I mean, structured water is really best drank at room temperature. You can refrigerate it, but just know that if you're sticking a pitcher in the refrigerator in a dark environment with your Kelby balls all the time, I don't recommend that. I leave mine out on the counter, and if it can get natural sunlight, that's great. You don't have to set them in the sun to activate them, but it doesn't mean it's not beneficial. It's not necessary, but I usually do it every couple of weeks. I'll set my pitcher in the window and just let the sun hit it for a while. Because I had a lady mention that she refrigerates her Kelby water and she hasn't noticed any difference. And I said, well, I don't recommend drinking it ice cold or boiling water with it. If you can keep it at a fairly, room temperature is the best. If you like it cold, fine. I wouldn't add ice to it though. And then just don't boil your water when you make your coffee or tea. Just do it under boiling, like 195 degrees or something. And then that way you're the structuring, because the structuring it will make a difference if you start doing it at, boiling. You don't want to boil all the structure off.
Yep. Um, if the bracelets can be stretched, can you just double it up? I'd get worried about maybe stretching it too
Yeah,
far and
no, I
breaking it.
tried that.
Yeah.
They're not that big. I mean, you,
Yeah.
you can't double them up. Yeah.
Um, can you feel the balls in the pad? Yeah, there's no balls in
There's
the
no,
pad.
yeah, there's no balls in the pad. It's
It's
it's powder infused into the slide where I talked about the master batch chip, where they've infused the Kelby powder into an encapsulated form and infused that into the fabric. You're not going to feel anything. There's no bumps in it. It's completely flat. It's just a very fine somatid powder that's been infused into the layers of the material. So there's no bumps.
Yeah. Is it okay to use the Kelby pad if one has leg lymphedema and or blood clots? That I would say that sounds great for using
Yeah,
the pad. If
yeah.
you've got flow issues, and I mean that's yeah, again, there's pretty wild explanations on structured water and your blood being structured and so on and so and how is it that it's even flow throughout your body even though it's blood should be going down, and how can it fit inside these tiny little veins when the cells are bigger than a lot of the capillaries, and get structured water answers most of those questions. But yeah, the more structure you can get in your blood
Yeah.
and the water inside of yourself, then
Well, in our fascia too. So our fascia is that lining that holds all our stuff together inside our bodies. If you look at like Spider-Man, his if you picture his suit really tight, that's what the fascia is inside our body. And our fascia lining is actually made with has is structured water. So structured water plays a very important role inside of our bodies.
safe with stents or hip replacements. Don't see why not.
Yeah, anything where you're trying to heal, that somatid pad is gonna help. And as far as the patches, it's back to they're certainly not going to hurt you. If you have scars or a recent surgery and you just want the stitches site to heal better, any of that burns, just like whatever eczema, all those types of things. Arthritis, I know that people use it for arthritis. So yeah, it's a natural plant. It's made out of plants. There's no medication in them. There's no contraindications with medications you're taking. Kelby balls do not do anything to medications that you're taking. I had some lady say, "Well, I take this. Should I still drink the Kelby water?" Yes, absolutely, because it's not gonna interact or interfere because you're not taking something. You're just making the environment in your body more bioavailable to have the water enter your cells.
Yep. Is there a separate cover for the pad, and does that get washed separately, or is it all one thing? Yeah, it's
Just one
just
thing.
one pad. Yep.
And it
Uh,
goes underneath your fitted sheet so that you're going to have a cover over it because you're going to be sleeping on top of your sheet.
yeah. Would you put it under or over the biomat? I would put it over the biomat. The biomat's so thick that I would guess that
Yeah, I
it
would put
would
it over
probably go
if I
through
used
the
one.
biomat, but to be on the safe side, yeah, definitely want to put it over the biomat so you're getting the best of both worlds there.
Yeah.
Um, if you had to choose one for my 87-year-old mom healing from a broken hip, doing very well on no medications, what would it be? The pad or the balls? I'd say healing from a broken hip. I'd probably
Well, I mean, I would say both, but I mean, for the pad, you would probably want to make sure she's on the pad, for sure. Especially during sleep when the body's going through its healing cycle. You want that best environment systemically. But, you know, I'm never going to talk somebody out of drinking structured water because, you know, it gets into to the cellular level, and that's
that's a very
highly
good thing as
important.
well. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, and again, we talk about a lot of, like you said, Julie, multi-thousand-dollar devices on these webinars. I love that, this is a highly energetically beneficial thing
Mhm.
that's not a multi-thousand-dollar device.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
exactly.
it's pretty cool.
And you
It's
don't have
pretty
to sign
cool.
up for a subscription every month. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the other
No.
nice thing.
Yeah. As much as I do love my supplements, the you keep on needing to buy more
Mhm.
bottles of supplements. And yeah, this is a very foundational thing that doesn't
Yeah.
cost a whole lot of money out of the gate. And you do it once
Yeah.
and that's it. Yeah. Except,
Yeah.
except then we'll all get hooked on the jewelry as we've already discussed. And yeah. Yeah. So, but
We'll be sitting around tables making necklaces and bracelets with our Kelpie balls.
I thought we spoke. How long do the balls in water have to be in a glass?
10
Can you
minutes.
stir it for how long?
You don't have to stir it. You put the balls in the water glass, pour in your water, wait 10 minutes. It's going to start structuring your water immediately, but just give it about 10 minutes. You don't need to stir it. There's nothing to stir.
There it is. Can you put the patch on C-section scars? And we were
Of
talking about
course.
scars of all kinds. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. And again, probably one more good reminder of you've got the chat bot on your site. You've got the contact info. Um,
Use
yeah,
the chat bot, read the blog post, go to
the
JD
blog
Life Sciences
posts.
website because they've got a ton of some of that more specialty information you were asking about, more about the science. They've got their patents listed on there. You can read the studies. Obviously, since they have that on their site, I don't need it on mine, but it's there for you to view as well.
Oh, so the mechanics of the buy one, get one half off on the balls, Julie, do they just add one to the cart and the other, or
Yeah,
do they add two to
yeah.
the cart?
Yes, just add one to the cart. It's already programmed. The price already reflects two will get shipped.
Okay,
Yep. The SKUs are set up, so all they have to do is put them in their cart. They would only choose two if they wanted two packs.
very good. I think the questions are never going to stop coming, so we got to cut this off at some point. Yeah, email, chatbot, blog
Yep.
articles, JD Life Sciences site. But at the end of the day, just
And the YouTube videos are very helpful. Go to the Soma Vibe Health YouTube channel. There's a lot of little two-minute explainer videos that might answer some of your questions.
I love it, Julie. Good job being I like to think I've got a good eye for good products. You have found a real winner. Good job being the first one, or the
Thanks.
only one, I guess, to be bringing this to the States. It's pretty cool. It's really cool, actually. Yeah, you're sitting on something pretty big, but as I think and happy to help you be one of the first ones to help you get it out there. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And I appreciate your audience taking the time to learn about this fascinating technology. Like I said, it's at that foundational level of our cells and our mitochondria, and that's huge. So, yep. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Ryan, and thanks for trying the products. And yeah, looking forward to answering whatever other questions pop up.
I'm sure you'll have a few. Uh, Good job showing up, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you so much.